I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're stepping into the interstellar corridors of Dale Chamberlain's amazing book. It is called Oasis 4. We're delighted to have this wonderful author back on our show today to discuss the riveting space opera that centers around a protagonist by the name of Phil Ross. He's the manager of a bustling space station at the heart of a galactic commerce and crime center. As Ross and his crew navigate trade, intrigue, and cosmic justice, they find themselves pitted against a sprawling criminal empire. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Dale, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Nice to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about the inspiration for Oasis 4. What made you come up with a space station that was at a galactic crossroads?
I wanted something isolated, away from any support system. They were independent. They had to be clever and resourceful in solving their problems, and that was basically the impetus there.
And set in outer space, the story set in outer space has to do with your love of sci-fi?
A little bit, yeah. It just sounded like it'd be a fun genre to write about.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very modernistic to think of this, station up there in space that's on the edge of commerce and criminality. That's for sure. Who are some of your inspirations? What are the TV shows and movies that help fuel your vision?
Oh, of course, Star Trek and Star Wars,
Mhm.
mostly Star Trek.
Yeah.
Um, oh, there's a lot of Earthbound themes in this. The criminal syndicate. Um, it's slavery. It's just a lot of things that are just applicable to science fiction. You just got to write stars and planets around the whole thing.
Exactly.
You could set any one of them stories here on Earth, I'm sure, at some point in history, and it would be just as fun to read.
Exactly. Tell us a little bit about your hero, Phil Ross. He is managing trade, and then also there are ethical dilemmas posed by illegal activities on his station. Tell us a little bit about his dilemmas.
Well, he wants to just run his station as efficiently as possible. That's his goal, and to keep his people safe. His employees. And he wants to keep his customers happy and safe,
Mhm.
and that's really his goal. And he has his overriding. He just feels the need to do the decent thing.
Mhm.
Whenever he comes, he could wash his hands of a lot of situations that people find themselves in. But he steps back and says, "You know what? I think I'll do the decent thing here. I don't have to. I don't have to take in this person as a refuge that needs refuge. But why not? He has the ability. Let's do it."
Yeah. He's a true hero, basically, because he's always kind of pushed by his own inner voices to do the right thing, right?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And who do you think would play him in the movie or a TV show?
I always thought Drew Carey would.
That'd be
I kind of
cool.
had him in mind writing the character.
Yeah,
His personality and the way he his inflections. It's just that's a very Drew Carey like character.
yeah.
Now, whether Drew Carey wants to play this guy or not in a movie, I don't know. He might.
I think he might. I mean, I don't know if he's made a movie in a long time, Drew Carey. He's doing his game show, so I think that would be a
Yeah.
perfect role for him to step into. And, action sci-fi would be wonderful as well. I've actually spent a lot of time with Drew Carey. He's a great guy. So
He seems like he'd be one of them nice guys
he
that
really is. He
you
really
don't
is.
mind having a conversation with.
Oh yeah, I literally spent a day with him at Disney World.
Oh,
He was
really?
down there to promote the opening of a bunch of rides. This was about 20 years ago. and he and I just went on different rides together all day long. So talk about a dream job. That was a great one
Wow.
to 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 be with him all day. Another part of your book that I love is the multi-world criminal syndicate. Talk to us a little bit about how you wrote about that and what it entails.
Uh, well, I figure we have, a lot of organized crime here on Earth,
Mhm.
and they're kind of loosely, from what my understanding of it, and my understanding of it comes from movies,
Yeah,
but they have agreements and they have affiliations with each other, and uh, it's kind of a club atmosphere or an association. And I thought, well, if there was interstellar commerce, why wouldn't that take place, in a galactic environment,
exactly.
And boy, a person could really make themselves a nuisance, being in something like that. So it was that was fun to write about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another intriguing aspect of the story is Phil and his team and their fight against the slave trade. Tell us about that.
Well, slave trades existed on Earth. I mentioned this in the book.
Hmm.
Slave trades existed on Earth from biblical times, although it's taken different forms, and not all of it was as malevolent as it was in this country. Uh, and well, not every form of slavery in this country was super benevolent either, but I would not call it benevolent.
Right.
But it just seems to be that's kind of the fallback position of a lot of cultures.
Hmm.
Gee, I need cheap labor. Let's go force someone to do it.
Yeah.
And of course we have human trafficking today. Slavery exists today in North Africa and the Middle East,
Yeah.
and they get them slaves somewhere. So I thought, well, what would this process be in space? It'd probably be a lot easier.
Hmm.
Just
That's great. I mean, it becomes a microcosm of the world. Everything that
right,
happens
yeah.
on Earth as happening in space,
Oh,
that the inherent
times
evils,
10, yeah.
yeah, the inherent evils of men don't really change, which I think is interesting as well. Is this part of a series, this book?
I if I'd have been if I'd have known the book was going to wind up to be 935 pages thick, I'd have probably lengthened some of the stories and turned it into a series of books. But I think I was thinking about this earlier today. I could write stories that weren't specifically Oasis 4,
Mhm.
but in that reality. You know,
Right.
I thinking maybe having shorter books, smaller
Yeah.
books about or maybe about shuttle captains
Hmm.
or freighter captains or something. This is these are ideas that are just gelling in my head.
Sure.
But they could. They're in that universe. They could stop at Oasis 4, interact with, but they go off and the main story is on their ship or their shuttle or in their colony. I think would and it would be all part of that world, but or
Exactly. You've got the
of that part of
world.
that universe.
Yeah. And these would be like side stories that are unfolding around it. It could
Yes,
be a different period of time. It almost the way
and
Star Wars has
different
kind of
problems.
evolved.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Star Wars is all over the place. It started at episode whatever, and then they did three later, and then four.
yeah.
So yeah, there could be a prequel, there could be a sequel, there could be side stories. And like you said, you've created a whole world there
Yeah,
where
it worked for George Lucas.
exactly, exactly. It would be great to get work with him indeed. So, are you working on a book right now?
I am not.
You're not.
I've got a couple other things going on in my life, so I can't wait to get back to writing.
Yeah.
You know, but things are just chaotic right now.
Right,
So
right. But it's fun to live in that space. It's fun to be a creator of worlds. And I know what it's like to spend the early morning hours or even the late night, evening hours at that keyboard creating characters, creating scenarios, creating situations. It's fun work indeed, don't you think?
Yeah, my mother would when I was in elementary school, she would go to the parent teachers conferences, and she'd come back. She'd look at me and says, "Your teacher say you daydream all the time," and this is the result, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly. I know it's so funny. Teachers say you daydream like it's a bad thing. You know,
Yeah,
it means you have an imagination. It means that you're going to do something someday, like write a wonderful book like this. The name of Dale Chamberlain's book is Oasis 4. It is a riveting space opera that centers around Phil Ross, the manager of a bustling space station at the heart of a galactic commerce and crime center. As Ross and his crew navigate trade, intrigue, and cosmic justice, they find themselves pitted against a sprawling criminal empire. It is an amazing read. It is an amazing adventure. It's along the lines of sci-fi like Star Trek, and you will just love it. Dale, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.